Okay, so today I am going to show you how I currently make a pocket diaper. You are going to want to start with your PUL, which is your waterproof fabric, and that's for the outside. And for the inside of the diaper, you're going to want microfleece or suede cloth or some other similar stay dry fabric. I prefer microfleece just because I think it's a tad softer and it has a little bit of stretch to it, whereas suede cloth has no stretch in either direction. So once you have these two fabrics, you're going to want to take your diaper pattern and cut out your fabrics. Now this is just my own pattern that I came up with on my own. I've been making diapers for almost 4 years now, and yeah, I think I actually took a disposable and I traced it, and I've just kind of tweaked it here and there to finally get a pattern that I liked. So anyway, you're going to take your PUL and cut out your pattern. Now obviously if it's a half pattern like this and not a whole pattern, then you're going to want to put it on the fold and cut it out like that. And for the inside, the way I do my pocket inners is a flap. I don't do the elastic up at the top, and I don't do the little opening right here. I like to have a bigger opening for the insert to go into. So anyway, basically I've just marked on my pattern where to cut. It's just going to overlap a little bit, and that's where you're going to cut your micro fleece pieces. Okay, get on with the show. Now that I have, Rachel, get that? Now that I have my two pieces cut out, now I'm going to quickly go add snaps to my PUL. Okay, excuse me. I wanted to say real quick that I take strips of the suede cloth, since it doesn't have stretch, just a place where the snaps are going to be for support. I just spray a little bit of basting spray onto the suede cloth and then place it so that I don't have to worry about it moving around when I'm trying to put the snaps on. And that will ensure that the snaps won't rip through your PUL when you're taking the diaper off and pulling the snaps. Okay, now the next thing that I do is I take my it's like a snap placement paper, I guess is what you would call it, and I just line that up to the very top of the diaper and evenly on both sides. And then I take a washable marker and I mark all of the spots, which I have already done. Not easy to see on this particular pattern, this diaper pattern, but they are there. So now I'm ready to, there's no earthquake, just me hitting the camera. Now I can take my poker, is what I call it, and I can start poking my holes and adding my snaps, which is why I have this priority mail box down here, so that when I push down, it pokes only through the box and not through my antique sewing machine. So anyway, I'm going to add the snaps on this real quick, and I will be back to show you the next step. Okay, snaps are all added, and we are ready to move on to the next step, which is sewing on the microfleece. So what I do is check and make sure I'm still in frame. I take this top part first and I get it lined up, and then I take the bigger piece. Both of these edges are serged. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's not absolutely necessary. You don't have to do it because suede cloth or microfleece won't fray. Say that 3 times fast. I just do it because I like the way it looks. It looks a little nicer, a little more finished. Okay, so we're gonna go all the way. Okay, and as soon as it's smoothed out and all placed right, then you can start pinning it. Now, some people don't like to pin. They're scared that their pee will leak. But essentially, you're going to be sewing along the edges of this, and your needle is going to be poking holes throughout the entire diaper on the edge. Now, you don't want to pin it in the middle anywhere, but as long as you're pinning it on the edge, you know, at where the sewing needle would be, or further out on the edge, then it's not going to create any problems with your diaper leaking. If you're still not comfortable using actual pins, you can use binder clips. I used to have some and they've just kind of vanished, which will happen when you have 4 children running around your house. So we'll just stick with pins today. I usually don't pin that much, but for today I'll put a couple extra pins from what I usually do. Normally I would pin here, here, and here. Just put 3 pins in to kind of keep it in place overall. I think these parts right here are probably the most important because this is where they overlap, and you want to make sure these parts don't move. Yes, it does hurt when you poke yourself, so don't do that. Okay, now I'm going to sew all the way around the entire thing. Start at one point and get to the next, and then we will flip it inside out. Okay, I sewed all the way around the entire diaper. That's all the way done. Now we're going to go to the big flap pocket opening, and we're going to turn the diaper all the way around. I usually take the opposite end of my seam ripper. Okay, sorry about that. I had a child emergency. So anyway, I just take the other end of my seam ripper and I kind of use that to poke the ends out to get them nice and flat and get the tabs the proper shape, whatever shape they may be. Okay. Okay, and when you have that all completely done, our next step is going to be adding the casings for the elastic. Okay, I repositioned it hopefully to get a better view. Okay, so now we're going to add the elastic, the casings for the elastic. So what I do is I do the back one first. And me, I kind of have, I just go by my labels. I have, or my tag in front and my tag in back. So this is my start and my stop point, but it's about 5 inches, 5.5 inches for each tab. That's just for my pattern. So anyway, there's not really a right or a wrong, just whatever you feel comfortable with is the right answer. Got another child surprise. Okay, sorry about that. They love their mother. Okay, so I'm just kind of using the end of the pointy part of my seam ripper to kind of help flatten out this part that I'm making the elastic, the elastic casing. And I have a point marked on my sewing machine. How wide to make it, I just make it a little bit wider than the elastic that I'm using. I use the elastic from Diaper Sewing Supplies that doesn't change in size when you pull it, so it stays the same width. So we got the elastic put on, the back, and both of the legs. So now we're ready to move on to the next step, which is stitching. Top stitching all the way around both tabs and around the front panel here. And then after that, we are done except adding snaps to the tabs. After that step, then you will have a complete diaper. So let me go ahead and stitch around the few areas here real quick, and then we will add snaps to the tabs. Okay, so now we are completely done. I top stitched all the way around both tabs, and now it's time to add the tab snaps. The way I do this is I just position it to where it would be right in the center, and I just feel the snap that's in there, and then I would poke a hole. Now try to get it as accurate as possible, so I would take one of my snaps, and when I line it up, I would put it to where I think it should be, and then I would test it, or semi-test it, with a snap to see if that looks like it's in the right spot. That looks pretty good as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just going to push it a little harder to make a good indentation, and then I'll follow through with my poker. Put it through, and we're gonna do that for both sides, and then I will come back and show you the very final result. When you're finished with the snaps on the tabs, then you're completely done with your pocket diaper. So when we open up this diaper, This is what the inside looks like. I still need to go and trim it up a little bit, cut off some of these threads, but I will do that later. Here's the pocket opening. I like the openings that make it really easy for me to get my hand in there, as well as the insert, so I can get the insert nice and flat. I think this bear might be a little bit fatter than the average baby, but I think he'll give us a pretty good idea of what the diaper would look like when it's on. He's quite fluffy. Okay, so there we go. Probably could have been snapped down once for the rise, but that is it. Once you are done, put it on your baby and you have a pocket diaper.